And so I wonder from you, where do you think some of the playfulness gets, cauterized out of our
I mean,
personalities?
I think if I'm honest, I would say it happens in your later schooling, right? And I would say that it happens to most of us because that's the way in which, society is set up to an extent. Our schools become more serious, what is required of us becomes more serious, and everything. There's less time. This week I actually recorded a podcast on play and productivity, and it really struck me. There's like playing around, like quit playing around and go and focus on your work is something that I remember you would hear when you were younger. And
Oh yeah.
play gets put as the opposite to productivity, as the opposite to success, as the opposite to achievement, as the opposite to being a grown up, to being an adult. And I think there is this phase in kind of teenagehood as adolescence, and I'm not an expert on any of this, right? But that where we start to become more aware of how we're similar and different to other people, and that then it becomes important, and we start to really feel the importance of belonging in a way that maybe it hasn't been so apparent to us before, or at least when we realized that we didn't belong or we did belong, we didn't tie it quite so much to ourselves and who we were in the world. And I think when you're younger, it's much easier to go in and out of, I'm playing with this group of people, I'm playing with this group of people. Whereas as you get older and go into your adolescence and kind of like early adulthood, you're trying to belong while simultaneously trying to find yourself, right? We're dealing with a whole new range, physically a whole new range of hormones and adjustments in our body, which we're trying to stabilize, but we're also dealing with a whole new thought about ourself in the world, what the world is, a recognition. I think we've become even more aware of how other people see us, and that gets reflected back. And I think when you're as a younger person, all of these competing issues are put on you, and I think that's where we start to go in, right? You've got the overwhelm, you've got other people's reflection back of you, you've got how you feel about yourself, and they're pushing you to define yourself and to be able to define the world, right? Because when everything's confusing, you want concrete things. You want to go, hey, I know what the world is and I know who I am in it. And actually,
Right.
I would say that's a really long journey that we go on. Is just we kind of feel like, okay, by 18, by the time I go off to college or university, or whatever that is, or go into the world of work, because let's face it, lots of people go into the world of work at 18 as well.
Mm-hmm.
That I need to know who I am so I can present that and be really clear. And play doesn't fit in with that, because play is a movement. Play is, I might be this, but actually I might change and be this. There's fluidity to it. There isn't a
Right.
concrete construct that we can necessarily fall back on. And I think in our youth, we really need that. We're craving it, and we're trying to assimilate all of these things. So play drops because it will make you stand out. It could make you question whether you're building a version of yourself that is the right version.